Hey y'all, it's Kate from LoveStory checking in on Monday, November 16th. Happy Monday, it's a new week. Next week is Thanksgiving, and if you're in the US, that's my favorite holiday. I can't wait. So these are some of my current reads, and I'll touch on those in just a minute. First, let's get to a reading quote, and this is actually something that's a little different than what I've done before. This quote comes from a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The quote says, "Her presence fell on their hearts like a ray of sun on the walls of a prison." And that's from the poem Evangeline. And I just loved that quote because of the imagery just paints it perfectly. So our current reads. Betty Zane I finished yesterday by Zane Grey. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which I think is maybe a generous rating. I enjoyed parts of it, but there was too much I was problematic about it. I probably won't read the others, but maybe one day. Passage to India by EM Forster. I am still making my way through this book. I'm enjoying it, but it's a slow read because they're short chapters, and this weekend was just a very slow reading weekend for me. I was in a little bit of a reading slump and didn't feel like reading that much, so I didn't get a lot of actual reading done this weekend, but hope to finish A Passage to India very soon. I know you've heard me say that lots of times now, but I really do think this will be the week that I finish that one. The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. So this is an interesting but slow read for me so far. But once you get to like chapters 8 and 9, things really start to speed up, and that's when like the spoilers, because you know my reading vlogs are spoilers. But chapters 8 and 9 is where like the Alaskan winter finally sets in, and you see Lenny and her family go through their first Alaskan winter. And in chapter 8, we saw Matthew lose his mom to falling through ice, and we saw the effect that had on him, poor Matthew. And then we saw Lenny's dad beat his mom, and then he came back a little bit later to the house, and she forgave him because she understands him. And these two scenes had so much emotion. They just like reached inside me and pulled my heart out. It just totally gutted me. So Brideshead Revisited, I've started last week, and I may have to go back and reread the preface again because I don't really remember anything that I read, but now I'm reading this very slowly because it's like a slow prose. It's good prose. I'm enjoying it, but it's slow. And so now we finally met all of our main characters, and we've seen Brideshead once, and that's where I've stopped so far. And I've started Guards by Terry Pratchett. I'm so excited for this because I loved The Wee Freeman, and Ellen from the Library of Alexandria keeps saying that y'all have to read the Discworld series books, and so I put it on my 2021 TBR wish list on Amazon. And Katrina from, let me find her, I should have planned this beforehand, but one second, let me find her. Okay, Katrina doesn't have a BookTube channel, but she does have a Bookstagram channel. So Katrina was so kind enough to send me Guards, and I've started it last night, and I love it so far. But to pay thank you back to Katrina, y'all need to go follow her on Instagram at The Diary of a Book Nerd. Her Bookstagram is fantastic. I love it. I look for it like every day. And she was kind enough to send me this book with no preamble, complete surprise. Amazon knocked on our door Saturday night as I was talking to Katrina about wanting to read this book, and it was delivered, and I had no idea it was coming, so it was perfect timing, and it was great. But so thank you, Katrina, you're the best. I love you. On with the actual book. So the introduction by Ben Aronovich is fantastic. I loved it. It is one of the best introductions I've read in a long time. And I'm only 10 pages in so far, but I'm loving it. I love the magical library, and I'm loving the Monty Python vibe that I'm getting from this. And I think this kind of humor is just what I need right now, because I've been reading a lot of really heavy books, and 2020 has been just like a heavy year in general, and I think I really needed this kind of comedy interlude. So this feels like just the perfect book for right now, and I can't wait to keep reading. But that's my check-in for today, Monday. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow on Tuesday. Bye. Hey y'all, just checking in on Tuesday, November 17th. Today's reading quote comes from Catching Fire again. I guess I really enjoyed this book and I don't remember it at all. The quote says, "The wind and the story have blown all the warmth from my body." On to our current reads. This is going to be a very quick check-in because I'm just enjoying the books. I don't have a lot to talk about them, but I'm enjoying them. So in Brideshead Revisited, I'm starting to see that this is going to be a very character-driven story instead of a plot-driven story. There's not a lot that actually happens, but the characters are there in detail, at least so far where I'm at. Passage to India, so now we're in the trial, and I'm excited to see where this goes. The Great Alone, wow, that was a deep dive into depression, and I'm sure we're not out of it yet. And Guards, this is exactly what I needed right now. It's perfect. Hilarious. I love it. Thank you, everyone that recommended it. Ellen, Library of Alexandria, Katrina, you guys are fantastic. I love you all. Thank you. That's it for now. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Wednesday, November 18th, and I've got a lot of updates for you because I'm finally getting back into my reading swing, so I'm just going to jump right to the reading quote. This comes from Ulysses. This was, I think, my first or second attempt at Ulysses, and I did get a little bit out of it. This is from 2013. The quote says, "A shiver of the trees signal the evening wind." So now let's get just right into our updates. Brideshead Revisited, still reading that slowly. I might have to DNF that, but we'll see how the next 50 pages go. I'll give it to 100 pages like I usually do. Passage to India, so Miss Quested, Adela, admitted that she made a mistake during the trial, right in the middle of the trial. Aziz is innocent and set free and faints straight away, of course. And now we're in the middle of like this parade of Indians with Mr. Fielding, and it's getting a little out of control. The Great Alone, so wow, there's a lot to update here. So Dad beat Mama to a pulp, and then Lenny and Mama ran away but crashed the van. Lenny had to walk to the Walkers, no pun intended, really, that's their family name, to get help in the middle of an Alaskan winter on like one of the worst days that we've seen in the book so far. Dad, Tom Walker, flew or boated, I can't remember which one, I think it was boated Mama over to the hospital. Dad shows up at the hospital, and Mama and Dad make up like they usually do. So they get back home, and then I think it was like a day later, the next day, Large Marge and Mr. Walker, Tom Walker, show up at the cabin. They tell Dad that he either has to leave and go work for the pipeline during the winter when he's worse, and then he can return every spring, or they'll take him up back and they'll kill him, and they're not joking. So then we skip ahead 4 years. Dad has been working at the pipeline every winter. Mom and Lenny have become like Alaskans. They fit right in now. They're hunters, and they fit in with this society and the community, and everything's great. Then Dad comes back early. He was fired from the pipeline. They claimed he was drinking on the job. And then he gets pissed off at Tom Walker again, and vandalizes and destroys the tavern because Tom wanted to fix it up. Then his own people, these like crazy conspiratorist theory people, basically turn on Dad and go to work for Tom fixing up the tavern, and Dad storms away, and that's where I've left it so far. It's gotten really good, really crazy, a lot happening, so we'll see where it goes. Guards, so this book is amazing. Let me just say that straight off. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Katrina, for recommending this book. It's amazing. So now the Supreme Grandmaster is going to bring back dragons. I've met Alan's favorite character, Vines, and Carrot, and honestly, reading Carrot's story of being raised by dwarves, all I could think about was Will Ferrell's movie Elf. So the next bit of reading that I did, because there's not really chapters, the Supreme Grandmaster sort of like channeled the dragon that he was trying to summon. He like essentially went into the dragon's mind. He killed someone straight off, and then we got to meet Death, who is another one of Alan's favorites, very briefly. And then we jump over to Carrot, and he's joined the guard and is totally confused and out of place in this new world and has no idea what their ways are. So one of the slightly confusing things, if you're not paying very close attention in Guard, is that it jumps our narration a lot. We jump from narrator to narrator to narrator. And so if you're not paying close attention to the prose, then you would get confused at who's speaking. I've caught myself a couple times thinking, okay, now wait, who's speaking? Who's this? But because they're short sections, essentially white space in between sections, it's easy to go back and read and figure out who you are in the narration. So just be careful when you're doing that to pay attention so you don't lose track of the narration. But otherwise, Guards is hilarious. I'm loving it so far, and I can't wait to keep reading. And that's my check-in for today, and we'll see you all again tomorrow on Thursday. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Thursday, November 19th, and just checking in today. So our reading quote comes from that book, Guilt Again, which is about Henry VIII's fifth wife, Catherine. The quote says, "I know a girl who used to wear hand-me-down gowns, so unbecoming they would make the angels ugly, and yet she wore them with grace and beauty because of who she was." And this one reached out to me because we all know those people that just have such beautiful souls that no matter what they wear, they're still beautiful or handsome. And I just loved that idea and that image that it painted. So on to our current reads. Guards by Terry Pratchett. I am still really enjoying this book. This is just the palate cleanser that I needed. I love the comedy in it, the hilarity, the humor, the Monty Python type humor. It's just what I needed right now with all of this heavy, really good but heavy reading that I've been doing. Plus just 2020, and this month has been a slow month, and everything going on. This is exactly what I needed. So now I'm at the point where Carrot has arrested the president of the Thieves Guild, which in our crazy world is a good thing, but in the disc world, they all have arrangements with the thieves and the assassins and everyone, and so this is very wrong of Carrot to do. And poor Carrot, he's so naive, he has no idea what's going on. But I have a feeling he will soon learn and will be blown away by everything in the disc world. Also, let's see, The Great Alone. So there's a lot that's been happening in this book. This is one of those books that has, like, I think bits and spurts of activity. It's really good writing, really descriptive and emotional, but it's very character driven, and so when there's action that does happen, it's very impactful. So in chapter 14, now we're all of a sudden in Matthew's point of view, and we're in Fairbanks, Alaska. But then he comes back home to finish high school before he goes to college, which is like, whoa, okay, it all of a sudden really does make you realize that we're 4 years in the future now. where did time go? It's crazy. So the feud between Lenny and Matthew's dads is still going strong. Matthew's dad is building a tourist lodge on his property, which will definitely put Lenny's dad over the edge because he doesn't want the tourists in town, and he doesn't want Matthew's dad, Tom, to be building anything new or upgrading anything. He wants everything to stay exactly how it was when he got to town. Well, let's see. So because of this feud going on, Lenny knows that their friendship would just throw her dad straight over the edge, and he would be infuriated with it, and bad things would happen from it. So Lenny and Matthew have agreed to have a secret friendship where her dad will never find out, which just lays the tracks for her dad to find out later in the book. But this, I also love the idea of this secret friendship that's happening. I'm still reading A Passage to India. I am slowly coming down to the last quarter of that, I think. So now we're seeing the aftermath of the trial and everything happening there. And slowly making my way also through Brideshead Revisited. I think maybe things are becoming slightly more interesting. One of the characters hinted at Sebastian's mom being like a vampire or sucking people's blood or something, so that's intriguing and that keeps me wanting to read for now. So we'll see what happens with that. I have no idea what this book is really about. I didn't read hardly anything about it besides what the novel Cure said about it, and so far I can see the writing style is definitely like a slower paced, character driven, calm, and so it would be great for someone with nausea because it's not fast paced at all. It's not twirling around and everything. It's easy to keep track of. So I can definitely see that recommendation so far, but I'm going to keep reading all these books and see where they go, and I can't wait to read further and update you guys all tomorrow on Friday. Anyways, have a great day, stay safe, and keep reading. Hey y'all, it's Kate, and today is Friday. Yay, we made it to Friday, November 20th, the Friday before Thanksgiving, technically. So today's reading quote is a little bit different. It's from a short story called The Tiltson's Banquet from the book The World's Best, which is just a combination of a bunch of what this editor thought was the world's best short stories and poems and essays. I read this in 2016, so different year than what we normally have. And the quote says, "We'll go to the library, Spade. It's more comfortable there." And anytime a library is mentioned in writing, I soak it up because I love libraries so much, as you know. Current reads, The Great Alone. So now we've got Lenny and Matthew in love. And I saw this coming, but it's so dangerous because the feuds are still going on with their dads, and Lenny's dad is getting more and more dangerous. Her dad now wants to sit. So Lenny's dad wants to set booby traps at the Harlan's place where Matt Earl and his family live. Basically to keep out Tom Walker, Matthew's dad. But Thelma steps up and says, "No, we've got kids running around. We can't have that. We got drunks that are always walking around. Someone's going to end up killing themselves in an accident." And Matt Earl sides with his family and separates himself from his dad. So then we see more of the secret love between Lenny and Matthew. And then Matt Earl dies. And that changes things for Lenny's family, especially her dad. Because Matt Earl's family all sided with Tom Walker now. And Lenny's dad has no one on his side anymore because Matt Earl was the one person on his side. And his family put up with Lenny's dad because of Matt Earl, but now that Matt Earl is dead because of a heart attack, he doesn't have anyone to side with him anymore. So it's getting really interesting. I hope to finish this weekend because I'm picking up another book from the library today, but we'll see how far I get in it. A Passage to India, I will finish this today. I have less than 100 pages. I think maybe even less than 50 pages. So I brought 2 books with me to work today, in the hopes that I'll get through Passage to India really quickly. And Guards, I still love this book so much. It's still the perfect book for me right now. And we just met the librarian who was, get this, magically, accidentally turned into an orangutan. And Kara is warned, don't say the M word. Don't say monkey. He's not a monkey. He's an orangutan. So you know how much I love libraries and librarians, and I'm in library school. So when I heard that the librarian is an orangutan that was accidentally, magically transformed, I was all in. I love it so much, and I can't wait to read more about the orangutan librarian. And that's my check-in for now. I will check in again hopefully when I finish A Passage to India, but definitely tomorrow morning on Saturday before I post this. Stay warm, y'all, and stay safe, and keep reading. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Kate, and today is Saturday, November 21st. Happy weekend, we've made it again. So today's reading quote comes back from Joan Didion, and it's from the essay on the wall and her book, The White Album. And the reading quote says, "If I had a center, I would have monkeys and Chinese restaurants and mylar kites and bands of small girls playing tambourine." And that was just such a fun quote and a fun image that I loved. So my update for my current reads is only on Passage to India today because I was determined to finish this, which I did. So first, an update on the rest of what I've read. So picking up in the last part of part 3 of Passage to India, this is 2 years later than where we were before, and Fielding has now transferred out of Chandrapur and is touring rural India to see what English education is like out there. And according to Aziz, he's also married Miss Khoisted. Aziz had predicted this and is not happy at all and refuses to talk to Fielding or take any of his letters. The Raja is now dead, but they're covering up his death so people can still party at the festival, essentially. And Fielding is back in town, and Aziz learns that he was wrong about Fielding's marriage. Fielding actually married the late Mrs. Moore's daughter and not Miss Khoisted. Aziz still hates all the English people, even though he's made a mistake, and he says that he wants to be friends with Fielding, but he knows that until the English no longer rule India, that can't happen. So like I said, I finished it this morning. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I'll have a review later on for this. Still reading The Great Alone, still reading Guards and Brideshead Revisited. Starting tomorrow, I'll be starting my next bibliotherapy book, which is A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. And this was recommended by the Novel Cure as a cure for the stub toe. And this is simply because when you stub your toe, you want to yell out a bunch of swear words and expletives. And the authors suggest instead of doing that, yell out the first paragraph of this Joyce novel and then read the rest of the novel because it's a great novel. So I can't wait to reread this book. This is one of James Joyce's easier books, more accessible books than Ulysses. So I can't wait to dive into that tomorrow morning. I've also picked up from the library The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, and this is book 2 of Miss Bourne's series. You've seen my review and my reading vlog from the first book, and I loved the first book, so I can't wait to jump into book 2, but that won't happen until I finished my book club book, The Great Alone, because that's my reward for getting through this. Otherwise, I would never get through these books if I just kept adding books and not finishing them first. So that's my check-in for this today. That wraps up this week. I'll be reading lots this weekend, getting ready to eat lots of food this week for Thanksgiving, and we'll see you all again soon. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share with all your friends, and keep reading.